know who's in the room here with me today. So I will just call on folks if that's okay as I see your faces. So Ananya, would you like to introduce yourself?
Definitely. Hi, everyone. My name is Ananya. I'm in my third year studying chemical and biological engineering, and my pronouns are she, her, and hers. And I lived in Academic Village Engineering my first year, and I just loved it. Some of my closest friends to this day are people that I met in my hallway and just by going to the dining hall over there as well. So it's just overall a great experience. And I'm looking forward to sharing that with you today.
Awesome. Thanks, Ananya. Katie Gahn, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Katie. I'm a fifth year studying chemical and biological engineering with biomedical engineering. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I also lived in Academic Village Engineering my first year. Absolutely loved it. 3 out of my 4 roommates actually lived in the same hallway as me, and we're in our 5th year now, still living together. So obviously met a really good community. So yeah, like Ananya said, just excited to share that with y'all today.
Thanks, Katie. Thanks for being here. Rachel, did you want to introduce yourself?
Sure, I can introduce myself. My name is Rachel Johnson. I oversee the Enrollment Access and Equity team in the Engineering Success Center. So that means that I'm happy to be your person as you're navigating the admissions process. I'm happy to answer any questions you have if you're thinking about studying engineering, if you're not yet a senior. So I'll put my information in the chat and feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions.
Thanks, Rachel. Michelle Vang, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, of course. Hi, guys. My name is Michelle Vang. I am currently a 4th year majoring in civil engineering. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. I also lived in AV engineering my first year. I'm also currently living in there as a peer mentor. As a peer mentor, we know all of the resources that are available to help first year students. And so as a peer mentor, we just support you guys with anything and everything you guys need.
Awesome. Thanks, Michelle. Who is next? Michelle Hefner, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure thing. Hi, my name is Michelle. I'm a transfer student, but I also lived in Academic Village my first year on campus. I lived in Aspen, to be specific. And I'm in my 4th year currently studying biomedical and chemical and biological engineering.
Awesome. And Michelle also works as part of our student org group. So she is currently president of SHIP, which is the Society for Hispanic Professionals in Engineering. So she wears many hats and she's a student ambassador as well. So what you all will notice as you interact with our college more is a lot of our student staff have multiple roles and we get them involved in different areas. One, because they're awesome and we like to use their talents in many ways. But 2, we find that engineering students have skills in lots of different areas. And so we try to help them grow those skills and expand on those things as part of their journey in engineering. Camille, you are next.
Hi, everyone. My name is Camille. I'm a 5th year studying biomedical and chemical and biological engineering. I'm really just here just to make sure that we have all registrants. So yeah, welcome to the panel.
Thanks, Camille. And Sarah Verderame, I always mispronounce your name, is also here behind the scenes. Did you want to say hello?
I can. Hi, everyone. Verderame is fine. You're totally good, Shannon. I am a 4th year studying biomedical and mechanical engineering, and I'm here as tech support today, but I'm also an engineering ambassador and am heavily involved in SWE, which is our Society of Women Engineers, which is another diversity organization. So we're super supportive of all that here. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, team, for being here and supporting me today to make sure my interwebs don't crash and burn and all of those things. So I want to give some credit to Ananya. She was helping me this week with the presentation and she'll be our slide master extraordinaire. So Ananya, if you want to pull those up, we'll get rolling. And I don't know that I'll be able, or you'll be able to see me, so I might just have to be annoying and say next slide if that's all right.
That's perfectly fine.
Okay.
I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen here.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right.
Awesome. So welcome again, everybody. Our goal today is to share a little bit of information about the Engineering Residential Learning Community, or ERLC for short. We like acronyms because we tend to have long titles for lots of things. So if there is an acronym that I share today that I forget to give you the full title for, please feel free to put a message in the chat, and I'm happy to expand on that. So someone just put a thing in the, I have to acknowledge, yes, we are selling Girl Scout cookies, but we'll talk about that later if you want some. I just saw that. That was funny. Sorry, I'm a mom too, and in this pandemic, there are multiple things going on. So anyway, thanks for that comment. All right, go ahead, Ananya. So this is where my office is, and where a lot of our staff work out of. So the Engineering Success Center is a hub for many things. We work with advising and also our career readiness pieces. Rachel's office is here. So a lot of things run centrally out of the Engineering Success Center, and that's where my office is. So hopefully in a post-pandemic world, when you all are on campus, you will be able to pop in, and you can set up an appointment to come and see me, or just stop in to say hello and visit anytime. So that's where I reside. So getting into the meat of what it means to be in the ERLC and what sorts of resources that you all would have access to, there really are a lot of things. I know the students, you know, as they introduce themselves, already mentioned the community that they built and the friendships that they have made. But we are one of the more robust learning communities on the CSU campus. And we're specifically the only community that has a couple of resources. So I want to point those out. Peer mentoring, a lot of learning communities on campus have peer mentoring programs. I think our program is super awesome because our peer mentors actually live and reside in the community with our ERLC students. So Michelle introduced herself. She's one of 3 peer mentors that we have this year. And besides the peer mentors and the resident assistants, everyone else in our community is a first-year student. So the peer mentors really act as that role model for incoming students of you can do this, right? That encouragement of like, this is doable, it's challenging, but we've got your back, and here are some resources. But they also do a lot of fun activities and things for the students too, to keep them engaged. We also offer in-house nightly tutoring. So currently in the pandemic world, we are virtual for all of our tutoring, but we do hope to go back to face-to-face at some point in the near future, hopefully fall semester if everything continues to trend in the positive. And we offer that Sunday through Thursday night from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. We have tutors each of those nights that come from a specific engineering background. So on Sunday nights, we might have our biomedical engineering tutor. On Mondays, we might have mechanical, Tuesdays, electrical and computer, et cetera, et cetera. So there is someone each of those nights who specializes in whatever major you all might be majoring in next year. And every night of the week, those tutors can also help with math. So the pre-calculus all the way through Math 340, which is differential equations, as well as science, so chemistry and physics, and those sorts of classes. So those core foundational classes that are going to help support you in your engineering work. And as far as I know, we're the only learning community that does that in-house within our community. We also have an academic support coordinator who does weekly advising drop-in hours. So Alice Workmeister, who I'll show you all a picture of in a short bit, is there each week. And she allows the students to just pop by and ask general advising questions. So let's say a student is struggling in their class and they want to know, how do I find out when my drop deadline is if I wanted to drop this class? Or, you know, I'm retaking this class, but I've heard about repeat delete. Can you tell me what that policy and process is and how I might get more information? So Alice can answer those general questions. And then for specific things, we always refer the students back to the expert in their department, which is their assigned academic advisor. So I mentioned that we have some things that are specific to our community that no other learning community on the CSU campus has, and that is our faculty in residence, as well as our graduate academic coaches, or GACs. Dr. Bonnie Roberts is currently our faculty in residence. She is a faculty member in the mechanical engineering department, and she is wonderful. She lives in the hall with the students, bless her heart. And she works full-time as a faculty member, but she also does a lot of things to engage with students. She has conversations about, career exploration. She facilitates programs. Actually, we were talking about the succulent program just a short bit ago as you all were joining. And Dr. Roberts, that was one of the first programs that she did last year, which was her first year with us. And we had like over 40 students attend. She made cookies in her apartment. So there were students like getting painting supplies and having cookies and milk. So she's just a lovely person and knows a lot about different things, is very involved in research and organizations, and is a great resource for students. And again, she lives in the hall. Similarly, we have 3 graduate academic coaches currently, and these are folks who have already completed their undergraduate in engineering and are pursuing graduate work, either master's or PhD level. And those individuals also live in the community and have their own apartments. So we really have a robust foundation of folks who have been there, done that, and have the experiences to help bring along new incoming students and help with that transition. And in addition, University Housing is a great partner for us, and they really work to make sure that the resident assistants in Academic Village Engineering, which is the main part of our community, that those resident assistants, the majority of them also have that engineering background. Any questions coming up in the chat about academic support services? I saw a few things pop up, but I might have not caught them.
We have one question that says, what percentage of the engineering schools are first-year students, and how many are in the learning community? And then number 2, how much of the engineering school is in mechanical engineering?
Okay, so mechanical, I'll start at the bottom of that. Mechanical engineering is our largest major. Rachel might have a better grasp of total numbers off the top of her head, but they are our largest major, which is why they have 4 advisors within their department, versus engineering science is our smallest, and we have 1 advisor supporting those students. So that's a little bit about mechanical. And then Ananya, can you repeat the first question, please?
Yes, one second. Let me just pull it up again.
Sorry.
Oh, no, that's all right. So what percentage of the engineering school students are in the learning community?
That's a great question. So typically in an average year, and again, keep in mind the last year or so has not been average, but typically in an average year, we would see anywhere between 600 to 650-ish incoming first year engineering students. And our learning community can hold approximately 225 students. Now, our community is also a little unique in that we have lots of students who are interested in moving into engineering, who are just on the cusp. Maybe their school didn't offer weighted grades, or in the past, they might not have done as well on ACT or SAT. So there's a host of different factors that kind of keep students on that cusp. And so they end up maybe declaring undeclared engineering interest. And so over the past couple of years, I've built a small cohort available for students who are undeclared engineering interest. They take a seminar class with us to help explore engineering majors. And I've started to incorporate them as part of our community as well, to bring them along and help move them into engineering, because we really want to make engineering as accessible as possible. And we realize that sometimes scores and those small things aren't really a good measurement of what a student is capable of doing. So as part of our whole ERLC, there is a small subset each year that is undeclared students who are moving into engineering. So good question. Okay, resources. Here are some of the resources that we offer. Again, some things that are really unique to our community. We have design studios on the first floor of AV engineering. There's also a lot of collaborative workspaces. So think small nooks and crannies and meeting rooms where students can get together and work on projects and assignments and whatnot, study for tests and exams. We also have an electronic classroom as well as a standard classroom, and those classrooms are utilized by our faculty. Dr. Marchese, our Associate Dean, teaches a seminar, and so his class has been in AV engineering for the past couple of years. Not this year, they were virtual, but in past normal years, he's taught a class, and sometimes we'll have other groups too, like honors will sometimes have a seminar and teach a class in our space as well. And then lastly, this is something that I also think is super unique to our community. We have our very own Engineering Technology Services, or ETS, help desk. So there are literally student IT staff who monitor and facilitate questions at a help desk on the first floor of AV engineering. So if students are having issues with software, hardware, they can't get something to print, whatever, they can't log in, we have folks on hand who are there to help students with all of their tech needs, which is super unique. So awesome. I did see a question just pop up about support services for students with learning differences or disabilities. All of that goes through our Student Disabilities Center. So if you are a student who maybe had an IEP or required accommodations in high school, you would definitely want to reach out to the Student Disabilities Center and provide documentation, and they can assist you with that. Good question.
And there was also a question, Shannon, just above that, about how soon would you recommend applying to the learning community to guarantee getting a place, and are private rooms available?
Yes, I'm going to get to that. So don't let me forget that one, because Ananya created an awesome slide for me that talks about how to apply. So I'm going to pause on that question for just a second, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. So thanks, Rachel. Okay, tutoring. I wanted to expand on tutoring a little bit. So I shared that in the ERLC, we do offer tutoring Sunday through Thursday from 7 to 10. It's open to all engineering students. So for example, I shared I only have 225 spaces to fill in the community, correct? And let's say we do have an average year and we're over 600 students. So obviously not all engineering students are going to physically be able to live in the community, but all engineering students will have access to those tutoring resources. So I did want to, I try and emphasize that, because I think folks feel like if they don't get a space, that means they are missing out on everything, and that's not necessarily true. We also wouldn't limit our activities and things of that nature to ERLC only students. We want all engineering students to get involved. And so this year specifically, because we were in a virtual world, we experimented and created a Canvas shell. So Canvas is our platform that a lot of our classwork is populated within. So think about all of your assignments, your syllabi, discussion groups, and things of that nature are in this online platform, and that's called Canvas. And so we created a shell, like a class shell is what it's called, for the ERLC, where we post information about scholarships, or we post information about Dr. Roberts' career panel that's coming up, or we remind folks that the peer mentors are going to be reaching out, and here's a quick survey. We want to know what activities and things are folks interested in. So if a student was not admitted to the ERLC for this coming academic year, but was still interested in being involved and connected, they could email me and I would be happy to add them to our shell so that they can see the activities that are coming up and get involved and connected that way. So I did want to throw that piece out as well. Going back to tutoring, in addition to the ERLC tutoring, there are a variety of other tutoring offices and options on campus. So TILT, which is the Institute for Learning and Teaching, offers tutoring. Native American Cultural Center, NAC, also offers tutoring, and those resources are open to any student. You don't need to, for NAC as an example, specifically identify as a Native student in order to utilize those resources. And they have folks who are well-versed in math and science and sometimes even engineering courses. So I wanted to throw those out and let folks know lots of tutoring options. It just happens that we offer it in-house. So it would be the difference sometimes between wandering downstairs in your bunny slippers to get tutoring versus having to put on your boots and maybe trek across campus to get some tutoring. Thanks, Ananya. So I mentioned some of the awesome people that work with our community, and these are some of the current folks. So I mentioned Dr. Bonnie Roberts. She is our current faculty in residence and lives in an apartment in AV engineering. I also mentioned Alice Workmeister. Alice is our academic support coordinator. So she supervises engineering open option and engineering science students as their advisor, but then she also supervises the tutors and the mentors in the learning community. So Alice is great. And she's also the one that provides those weekly drop-in advising hours and support. And then our 3 current graduate academic coaches are also listed there, Sadesh, Vignesh, and Mirza. And they are all wonderful and have a plethora of skills and connections across campus. So Sadesh is currently working on his PhD in mechanical engineering. Vignesh is currently working on his PhD in biomed. And Mirza is currently working on his master's degree in computer engineering. And I didn't warn Michelle, but there's Michelle, and she's with us today. So if you all have questions about what it means to be a peer mentor, or what some of the things are that peer mentors do, she's happy to answer those questions. But Michelle and Evan and Jacob are our 3 peer mentors today, or this year, and they've been super great, especially considering that we thought we were going to be live and in person, and it ended up this year that we were completely virtual. So they've done a great job of helping us pivot and still provide great resources. Awesome. So the learning community is just a learning community. If folks just show up and they don't do anything, right, and they stay in their rooms and they study all the time and they don't reach out for help, or they don't get involved in activities and things of that nature, it's just a place to live. What really makes our community come to life is when students get involved and are active and engaged. And so there's lots of different ways to get involved. Participating in programs and events is a really easy way, right? Like there is a movie and pizza that's showing in the lounge, so you just wander down and you show up. Or in this virtual world, there's a career panel that's coming up, so you sign up and you just hop onto Zoom and you get to hear from this great career panel of a bunch of folks who have a variety of industry experience. So if folks aren't getting involved and they're not participating in those programs and events, they're going to miss out on a little bit. We try to offer a variety, and we'll do surveys each year to kind of see what our current student population is interested in. So the Canvas shell is a great way too for folks to reach out and let us know, hey, I'd be really interested in this idea, or I really want to do a trivia night. Can we do that? And so we're happy to oblige and find some different ways to gain students' ideas. Students can also reach out to the peer mentors and the graduate academic coaches. We help out with a lot of different areas, not only transition from high school to college, but transition into engineering, because as we like to share with folks, engineering is a team sport. You can do it by yourself, but it's preferred, and we want you to work together and use your peers to support you and you to support them. So we are looking for folks to get involved again, and to reach out and to use those resources. I already talked a lot about tutoring, but attending floor meetings is another great way to get involved, to connect with the folks who are on your immediate floor community, to hear from your resident assistant what's going on your floor, or even outside of your residence hall, and just stay well connected with what's happening. There are many moving mechanisms on campus, and so the RAs and the GACs and the peer mentors are often those folks who know what's going on or know where to find information. And then finally, I talked about the ERLC Canvas shell. That's a place where we post a lot of information about what's coming up within the community, and try to gain ideas from our students of what they're interested in. But we would also we would also encourage you, to follow our hashtag ERLC Rams. It's our new Instagram. I don't know all the lingo. Is it a handle? I don't know. Our new hashtag. So we encourage you to follow that, and also the @CSU Engineering one as well. All right, so Rachel mentioned there was a question about the application and how to guarantee. There is not a guarantee. I look at each application that students submit individually. What I can say, some of my hot tips would be Don't fill out your application at 2 o'clock in the morning when you're exhausted. You want to give it some thought and some time. You can start your application and then go back. So you can start and stop. You don't have to do it all at once. If you submit something and you're like, whoa, I want to retract that and do better, you can send an email to me, and I'll put my email, or maybe one of the student staff can put my email in the chat for me real quick. And you can email me and say, hey, I'd like a redo. Can I try again? And I'm happy to give you that opportunity. This web page is where you would go to access the application. There's also links directly through the university housing portal as well. But if you go to lc.colostate.edu, there's a little link for engineering learning community. You click on there, and then under how to apply, there's a fill out the application button. So the things that I'm looking for and that I would want folks to give some thought to in their application is, what are you hoping to gain from the community? What is it about what we offer that speaks to you, and how do you see yourself benefiting from being in the community? On the flip side of that, what are you hoping to give to the community? Because again, if you just show up and you're hanging out in your residence hall room and you're not participating in anything, you're not really giving back to the community or getting much from the community. And so what are you wanting to give to the community and your peers that you're living with? Maybe what do you see as some of the challenges for you of being in the learning community, and what are the things that you're excited about? And I know AV Engineering is a beautiful building. If any of you have had the opportunity to tour there, it is top notch. It's one of our newer residence halls on campus, and I know that that is super appealing. And our learning community is more than just the pretty building. So in your applications, please think about and kind of expand on some of those pieces of, what are you hoping to gain? What do you see yourself contributing? And what are you most excited about? That's what I want to hear. If I can get a good sense out of reading your responses, which are hopefully more than 1 or 2 sentences each, and I can get a good sense of who you are as a student and how you're going to contribute, chances are your application is going to rise to the top of the group. So hopefully that helps. I have already received applications for the coming year. I've not reviewed any of those. I'll be reviewing in batches. Since we have limited spaces, I want to make sure that I'm looking at groups and not accepting, the first 200 applications that come through. So know that there is a chance that your application might not be accepted, or you might not be admitted to the community, and that's okay. There are other ways, again, for you still to connect and get involved. And if you do get a decline letter from me, but you're still highly interested, please reach out. I am going to create a wait list, because things happen, right? You never know. We could have 50 students who are planning on coming to CSU, and then at the last minute their plans have changed and I have space. So I will be creating a wait list this year to kind of replace and fill spots as students change their plans. Real quick before we wrap this up, I did want to just mention that a lot of students will ask us, I'm also eligible for the honors community, or I've been invited to the key engineering community, and what are the differences? What are the pros and cons, right? And what I guess I would want to share with you all is, there's no right or wrong. You're going to find the community that feels best to you, and you're going to get something out of whatever you put into it is what you're going to get out of it. Sorry for 2 seconds. Will you please go in the other room? Thank you. Sorry, my coworker was getting unruly back here. So just a reminder of that, like whatever you put into something, you're going to get that out of it. And each of these communities has a different feel and a different flavor and offers different resources. So for example, if you're eligible for honors, great. The honors community is literally like a hop, skip, and a jump across the walkway from AV Engineering. You will be eating at the same dining hall or center as most of the other ERLC students. And so you'll still have an opportunity to interact and engage. Honors is a little different. They have a heavy curriculum base. So there is a seminar that the honors students take with each other. They live in the honors AV honors building together, and then they also have specific peer mentors or facilitators that are connected to those key seminars that they meet with on a regular basis. So they have some different components to their program. They also do activities and events just like the ERLC does. Key is a smaller community. So where I shared that we have 225 students that will be in the ERLC, I believe this year for Key, we're closer to 19 to 20 students. So it's a smaller community, a smaller feel. You'll have a peer mentor that is assigned to you. You'll have a seminar that Dr. Marchese, our Associate Dean, teaches. So again, there's some curricular components to the key engineering community and the honors community that the ERLC doesn't have. If you can imagine me trying to like pack 220 plus students into a seminar, like that makes my brain melt just a little bit. So we have some other things, you know, the tutoring and the other pieces of academic support that we put into our community that is not a core class or seminar base, if that makes sense. So that's just a little bit about some of the nuances between those three communities. All right, just a reminder to please follow us on social media. We send out information on all sorts of things. So we encourage you to follow us on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. Reach out to us by email, check our website. Like there's always something going on in engineering. So pay attention to those and then you'll be in the know. Awesome. All right. I am done chatting. So I would love to hear any questions that folks have. If you want to unmute yourself, and actually Ananya, if you want, you can stop sharing too. Perfect. And then I can see faces. So questions, comments? If you don't want to unmute, oh, Stacy.
Hi, I'm loud and talky. I have a question coming in. I wanted to know, I didn't know whether you answered this. Are private rooms available in the Learning Center? Did you say that?
Oh, no, I didn't. I missed that part. I apologize. So there are a few single rooms that are available in AV engineering. Because our building is one of the newer buildings on campus, when they created it, they also put in a lot of different accommodation for folks who need ADA accommodations and things like that. So there are students sometimes who are non-engineering students that need a specific accommodation that only AV engineering provides. And
Okay.
so there will be a few rooms where we have students that are non-engineering majors for those very reasons. But yes, we do have a few single rooms. I can't remember the exact number off the top of my head, but typically those are reserved for folks who might need accommodations.
Okay. Normally then it's two to a room or suites or?
Correct.
Did you say?
Two to a room. Yep.
And is it sharing a bathroom, common bathroom?
Correct. Yep. Suite style.
Suite style. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And Shannon, I think we might have missed this earlier, but Stacy had a question about just the percentage of engineering school students that are first year students. So in that learning community.
Oh, yeah. So in the ERLC, all of the students that we admit are first year students. So except for the resident assistants are RAs or upperclassmen. Our peer mentors are upper class engineering students. And then the graduate academic coaches and Dr. Roberts are all obviously not first year students. But the majority of the students that are in that community are first year engineering students. Thanks, Ananya. It looks like Tricia, I'm going to start from the bottom. I see Tricia put in a question, will a virtual tour be available of the engineering residents? So I'm going to have Rachel maybe answer that. I don't know currently what plans we might have for virtual tours in the coming months. Rachel, do you have any updates?
We have a virtual tour. I'm not certain if it includes the residence halls. Do any of the ambassadors know? Do we have any, or does our video tour include the residence halls?
So I know the virtual tour that's presentation style has a few slides on the ERLC. So there'll be like slides of the suite style room and then the bathrooms, and then the ones that you saw during this presentation. I want to say that we have a video tour on our YouTube. Ananya, I'm pretty sure that we filmed one last spring or had people from the ERLC film one, which I can check on. And if we do, I'll send the link. But we can also, I don't know what kind of access we have right now. So we could film a new video, but it might just have to be like what the village looks like from the outside.
Yeah, I'll if you want to, I'll put my email in the chat, and if you want to email me, I'm happy to look into that for you and see if so anyone who's interested in this same question about a virtual tour or getting to see the inside of the residence halls, email me and I'll look into that for you and see what resources we can find.
Definitely. And as Katie was mentioning, since we have that slide from the virtual tour presentation as well, we can also send that your way so you just have a feel for what that room looks like. And the Housing and Dining Services website has a couple of videos. I don't think they go into the dining halls, but it's more so videos of how the common areas look and things like that. So if you just want to get a feel for how students usually move around, where the dining halls are, things like that, that's like, those are good videos to reference as well.
Thanks, y'all. It looks like there was a question from Karen, and I think it's supposed to say is AV instead of AC. So is Academic Village only ERLC students, or are other rooms available? So Academic Village actually comprises a couple of different buildings. So the Commons building is where the dining center and mailboxes and the convenience store and things like that are. Then we also have an honors building. We have Aspen, which is kind of a combination. It's upper class students for the most part. So we do usually have upper class engineering students that live on a floor, but there's also honors and other students. And then AV, Academic Village Engineering, is first year engineering students only. So Karen, I hope that answers your question. If it doesn't, feel free to unmute yourself or put another question in the chat.
And then we had another question from Adrian earlier as well. It says, if you're not in the engineering building in Academic Village, how do we get put on the notification list for the engineering RLC activities and support services? And for instance, I'm in the AV Honors dorm.
Awesome. Yeah, so I'm going to put my email again. If someone is interested in getting themselves added to the ERLC Canvas shell, to add, I'm typing and talking. Let's see if I can do this. Whoops, nope, I can't. They can just email me. So shannon.wagner@colostate to get yourself added to the Canvas shell. And any student that gets admitted to the ERLC will automatically get signed up to be in that Canvas shell, because that's one of the main ways that we communicate with the students in our community this year. So y'all get a lot of emails. If you're not already getting a lot of emails in high school, which I assume you all are, but there's a lot of emails flying around. So we try and use the shell as kind of a stable place where folks can go and get those updates so they don't have to pay attention to 20 emails from us.
Thank you.
Yeah, and Stacy is correct. No in-person visits currently on campus. I'm not sure if there is a timeline for when that might switch over, but from university administrators, we have been told at least through summer. So for example, RAM orientation will be virtual again for summer 2021. All right, I'm scrolling back up. It looks like Todd had a question, but I think that Sarah answered that. Karen wanted to know, how quickly will we find out if we are accepted or not? So again, just a reminder that I'm reviewing applications in batches, so probably 40 to 50 applications at a time. My plan is to review or start reviewing the first batch of applications within the next week or two. And so those folks that have already submitted will probably find out by early March at the latest. And then again, I'll take the next batch. So it'll go in waves. If you want to check in with me to make sure I received your application, you should get a confirmation when you submit it. But if you have any questions, you are always welcome to reach out and email me. I'm happy to touch base at any time. So even if it's just to give you the thumbs up over email that I see your application, and I'm excited to review it soon. Let's see, can you still be an honor student if you are in the ERLC? Yes, you can still be an honor student. We will not strip you of that designation. You can be multiple things, and we love for folks to do that. What you can't do is live in two places, right? Unless you have a trick that I don't know about, in which case I'd love to know, because I often wish I could be in two places at once. But you can be an honor student and live in the ERLC. If you are in the honors community, though, you can access some of the ERLC resources, but technically you would not be considered part of the ERLC community. You'd be considered part of the honors community, if that makes sense. But you can be an honors student and live in the ERLC. Good question. Let's see. Is the ERLC application the same as the one that I filled out when I applied to get into AV? So that's a good question. There's two applications. Every student needs to fill out the general university housing application. It's a long one. Like, you will know it when you see it, because there's a lot of questions and things that you have to click. They ask about meal plans. They ask about all sorts of things. The question, or the supplemental application for the ERLC, much shorter. I have like 4 questions. Again, what do you hope to gain? What do you hope to contribute? What are you excited about? What are you concerned or worried about? So those are the questions in a nutshell. So if you've already filled out the university housing application, your next step would be to fill out that ERLC supplemental application. And again, that website, if you don't remember from the slide, is lc.colostate.edu, and you'll look for the little engineering learning community icon and click on fill out at the application. So you do need to fill out both. If you fill out the ERLC application and I accept you, housing is going to reach back out to me and say, this student hasn't filled out their housing application. And so you would still have that other step. So in my mind, it makes sense to do the university housing application first and put AV as one of your options, and then do the ERLC supplemental application as your second step. So good question on that. Let's see. Is the housing deposit refundable? That is a good question, Stacy, and I don't know the answer to that off the top of my head, but you can reach out to my partners in housing, housing.colostate.edu.
And I can answer that. It is refundable up until May 1st. So both your enrollment deposit and your housing deposit, fully refundable, so long as you let us know before May 1st.
Thanks, Rachel. What else, y'all? What other questions do you see that I've missed?
There was a question confirming that we are not scheduling in-person visits right now. And Stacy, that is correct. We are not scheduling in-person visits, but we do have some options. In just a moment here, I'll put in the chat. We have some virtual visits. And if you still want to come to campus, there are some options for you to do a self-guided tour. There's a brand new app that the admissions office has just purchased that you just download the app on your phone, and that will allow you to do a self-guided tour around campus. And that app currently is only available on iPhones, but we're working on getting it on Android as well. In the meantime, you can also download it on a desktop. So if you have a laptop and want to walk around that way, that's an option. Or if you want to open a browser on your phone, if you do have Android, it will work that way. And there's a audio tour that's also self-guided. So you don't have to, you just download the audio tour. You don't have to have a special app, and you can walk around campus with that. So I'll put all of those resources in the chat.
Thanks, Rachel.
I also saw a question. I don't think this one got answered. Where do students live if they aren't in honors or admitted to the ERLC?
Yeah, so that's a great question. Again, there are a plethora of learning communities on campus that are open to all students. So living substance free is a great example. There's also a new community that's being created about how to engage in constructive dialogue and have tough conversations. So lots of different options. When you fill out your university housing application, you will list up to 5 different residence halls that you are interested in living in. So they give you lots of chances to kind of prioritize your list. And it will also allow you the opportunity to apply to other learning communities that you might be eligible for. So I encourage you to apply for more than just the ERLC. If there are some others that you're excited about, Key Engineering, again, is a great option, honors, and some of those other smaller communities, please apply for those. And then, you know what, if you're in that tough spot where you have to make a decision between 2 communities and both of them want you, awesome. Like, that's a great place to be. So That same website that I gave to you all, the lc.colostate.edu website, it will show you the other learning communities that we offer on campus. So I encourage you to take a look at some of those. And each of those pages has a contact and their information listed. So if you have questions about key engineering or living substance free or whatever, please contact the folks on those pages so that you can get more information and your questions answered. Thanks, Rachel, for bringing that one up. Yeah, and Sarah mentioned too, you don't have to live in a learning community. You could just, I don't know, live wherever, live close to the Scott building because you feel like most of your classes are going to be there, or, you know, live on the South Corner campus because you want easier access to get over to Elizabeth and all the awesome restaurants that are over there. So it's really up to you and your personal preference. And just because you're not in a learning community, or if you choose not to be in a learning community, doesn't mean that you won't have the opportunity to get involved. It looks, could you still apply to honors? I thought the deadline passed. I'm not sure what honors process and timeline is. Looks like Rachel just came off of
Yeah,
mute.
I can answer that one. You can still apply to honors. The deadline did pass, but there's always some movement throughout the, end of the spring semester and going into the summer as some students decide who are accepted to honors that maybe they want to go to a different school. So if you apply to honors and it's already full, and I'm not sure if it's full yet, I'm guessing it probably is, but there is a wait list, and so you can be put on the wait list. And then there are options to join the honors program later. It's not quite the same as the first year honors program, but there are, I'll put the link to the honors program in the chat here.
Thanks for that too, Rachel. It looks like there is another question. Can you describe key engineering? Is that a general residence hall? So key is not a residence hall necessarily. It is a group of different learning communities, and they each have their own focus. So our particular key cluster is what we call it, is key engineering. And so our community is about 19 to 21 students this coming year. All those students will live in the same residence hall floor. In the past, that building has been Braden Hall, but I know this year was Corbett, and it might be Corbett for the coming year. I don't know off the top of my head, but essentially those students live on that floor. They do tutoring together. They're connected by a peer mentor. They also are co-enrolled in 2 classes together. So not only their key seminar with Dr. Marchese, but also typically Calculus 1 is what we try to get them co-enrolled in. So just some different components and pieces that, again, each learning community kind of has their own focus, but key is very big on working and representing students from underrepresented backgrounds. And again, focusing on smaller communities versus the ERLC is a little broader and larger. I want to open up for any of the students who have lived in the ERLC. If there are other pieces that you would like to share from your experience, I think now would be a great time. Or if there are pieces that you want to highlight that I didn't share or glossed over, feel free to unmute yourselves and contribute in that way.
Yeah, I can share a little. So on top of everything that was already said, I just think that living in the ERLC is a great opportunity. I know I was a little anxious and nervous about starting engineering. I was like, am I going to get through this? Like, I know it's going to be really rigorous. And I think living in this engineering community kind of helped me through that transition from high school to college, just because there were students going through the same classes. They had the same workload, and I could very easily walk down the hallway to someone that I know is in my class and get help on the homework if I needed it. And having that kind of support right off the bat was definitely like fundamental for me, and just for kind of setting myself up for success for my next 5 years. But the resources are great. We also have on the first floor labs with computers. There's a few classrooms. I had a class actually on the first floor of Academic Village Engineering, and I would just walk down in my pajamas, which was super convenient. I'm not a morning person, so that was really nice for me my first year. But I just love it. I think it creates such a good community for you to succeed and for you to be supportive and supported in your classes. And I still have those same study groups, and I'm in my 5th year now. And so I formed like such a good support team and such a good like group of people that I could just lean on and get help with homework. And I just think this is such a great opportunity. So definitely take advantage and apply. It was actually my mom who encouraged me to. I was like, I don't know if I want to live with all engineers, if that's the people that are going to be in my classes every day. And it was a blessing in disguise for all those reasons I just mentioned. So I'm definitely glad that my mom pushed me to fill out the application and to give it a shot. So I would encourage you all to do the same.
Thanks, Katie.
I would just like to add my experience, something that I've seen. I did live in the engineering residential learning community, but that's because I really liked the idea of having my own shared bathroom with my roommate. And then also I knew I wanted to live with engineers because, like Katie was talking about, I was worried a little bit more about academics. So I was like, oh my gosh, well, if I already immediately have a study buddy, you know, I think they could help me a lot. And I did find that experience really like rewarding. However, I also think, you know, if that idea is not for you and you don't want to live in the residential learning community, that is completely fine. And there is like literally, in terms of it being difference in experiences, there is a difference, but not like a good experience and a bad experience. I know a couple of our ambassadors and a couple of my friends have lived in other residential halls that don't have different like specific communities. And it's just for, you know, students at CSU who want to meet each other their first year, and they have had a ball. And they got to meet like all different people who were non-engineers and then still utilize the resources that all first years get. So there's really no good, no bad experience. It's just what you want personally. I just wanted to add that and make that clear.
Thanks, Sarah. I appreciate you sharing that perspective because you're right. And again, whatever community you live in, you're going to get out of it what you put into it, right? So if you disengage and you're just hanging out in your room and not meeting friends and not going to activities and participating, it's going to be less than of a positive experience, right? We want folks to engage and be active. I did see another question pop up from Karen. Is the ERLC 50-50 male-female? No. And the reason being is we have lower percentages typically of female identified students that apply for engineering. However, that is another mission of mine, is to really make sure that our female identified students feel supported. And so one of the things that we have done over the past, or that we started a couple years ago, was to create a women in engineering sub-community within the larger ERLC umbrella. So that community will have its own floor in AV engineering for the coming year. And so students who specifically want that experience of being surrounded by other female identified engineering students will have the opportunity to have that sub-community within the larger hall. So, and it's also my mission to get as many female identified students as possible into the community, because I would love to see it be 50-50 someday. Good question. Other questions or any other student staff that want to share any thoughts? We're about out of time, but I want to make sure there's space.
I can just add a little, since we did get a question about the honors program as well. So I just didn't apply to the honors program before coming because I didn't know what the workload would be like. But like Katie was mentioning, I just didn't know if I wanted to be surrounded by like other, sorry, engineering students necessarily. But it really was a great experience, and I met a lot of people in honors through that. So I was able to like find out more about the program and then get into track 2 in my second year. And so that's the track that Rachel mentioned earlier and put in some information into the chat as well. And so that is still an option, but as Sarah was mentioning, no matter where you live on campus, you can really get that feeling of community because you still have other opportunities like extracurricular activities, diversity programs in engineering that we run out of our office, and a ton of other opportunities to still build that sense of community. So it really does come down to like how much support you're looking for in terms of that engineering aspect versus some people just really want a break from engineering once they're done with that coursework component. So it really depends on how you function with that.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that perspective too, Ananya. That's helpful. Okay, any last comments or questions? I hope that this was helpful for you all. You have lots of information that we've kind of thrown out at you today, but you have my email, you've got Rachel's information. Rachel included a lot of great links, and so did the student staff for places that you can go. So I guess bottom line, we want you to feel comfortable reaching out to us and connecting with us and letting us know, where are the gaps, what information do you still need in order to make the best decision for yourself? Because there's no one right answer. It's only what is the right answer for you and what feels best to you. So. Awesome. Well, I'm happy to stick around if anyone has any last minute questions. But otherwise, thank you all for joining us today. We appreciate your time. And I look forward to hopefully seeing a lot of you virtually at RAM orientation this summer.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks for joining, Adrian. Shannon, I think we had one other question in the chat.
Okay.
It says, it's from Will, and it says, are there going to be in-person study groups this year, or will it be online?
That's a great question, Will. I want in my heart of hearts nothing more than to just go roll around in the intramural field with lots of students, because I don't know, this has just been a hard year. However, we will follow whatever CSU guidelines and Larimer County Public Health guidelines tell us. So if they say, yes, you can wear masks and do tutoring in groups of 5 to 6 folks socially distanced, we will make that happen. And if they say that they're still discouraging folks from doing face-to-face sorts of things, then we'll do virtual. And we might do a hybrid of those. Maybe we'll do some small groups, but we'll also still do some virtual for folks who, have health concerns, or they just don't feel comfortable still doing face-to-face, because I know that's going to be a reality for some individuals as well. But yes, as much as we can, we are going to love on the ERLC students and try to get face-to-face contact as much as possible. I just I have to make sure that we are following the university and the county guidelines. Good question. Any other questions? If not, thank you all again for joining today. Thanks, Will. Thanks, Todd.